Hey there, honey bunnies. Welcome to episode 91 of your Sovereign Storytellers podcast with your host, Michelle Wolf. Today's episode is And Then There Was One. I've been trying to make this episode for weeks. I had this huge rush of information come in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got like 7 episodes here. Let me sit down and do them. And then I would sit down and do them, and nothing. No words. This is the problem in human design with being a mental projector. Having a defined just being a mental projector means I'm all open except for the crown, the third eye, and the throat, which are defined. So it's like my body is this receiver of information, and then my mind has to wade through it and try to make some sense of it. And as much as I have tried to force that process, I've learned, and hopefully you're working with your type strategy and authority and you're learning too, that good luck forcing the process. More power to you if you're still trying to do that. About the only ones who can get away with that are manifestors. So if you're not a manifestor, knock it off. Anyway, the gift in waiting is that when you do get the green light from your system, however that happens for you, and you sit down to do your work or deliver the goods, when you do, it's easy. It's not exhausting. Now, it is 12:48 in the middle of the night, so I feel like that part could have been managed better. Like all of a sudden it was like, bazinga, here's the stuff, here's the words. Oh, hell, it's 12:30. I had to go out to the car, get the stupid dongle thing. Anyway, then there was one. So, a long, long time ago, in a land far, far away called Dallas, Texas, there was lots of New Age groups. My mom was in those groups. I was in those groups because of her, because she dragged me there, kicking and screaming, which I'm really grateful for now, because I got so much good training from Cherokee medicine woman, from this harsh German, from her, like from all these people. I got such great training in stuff that keeps cycling around as being positive. So anyway, way back then in the 80s, there were a lot of predictions like end of the world. There's always end of the world predictions. And everybody going through upheaval, I'm guessing, felt like it was the end of the world, like a lot of us do. And it is, right? It is the end of the world. It is the end of the world as we know it. Who can resist singing that song like every day? But it is the end of the world as we know it. It is devastating mentally, emotionally, physically, even if we're not, and so many of us aren't, out on the streets with no food. If you're listening to this on a smartphone, you are wealthier than a large majority of the world's population. To have a smartphone in your hand right now is obscene wealth in some parts of the world. Just look at what you're listening to this on. Are you listening to it on a computer? A computer is like a mansion in your hands. It's so valuable. And we treat them like, because we're used to it, right? We're a little spoiled. We treat them like, oh yeah, my laptop, like it's another appendage. Our cell phones especially are another appendage, right? But we're extremely wealthy. And we forget all the time. And we forget that the world goes through these cycles of death. We're in an extinction event. The sixth one, I could be wrong on the number, but it's massive. It's huge. We're a part of it, and also there's cycles of nature that we aren't a part of. So what I keep coming back to when I freak out, how often are you freaking out? My freakouts have slowed down, but I was periodically freaking out pretty often. And I'm not usually the freak out person. I'm usually the one going, well, let's wait and see, and let's just hang out a second. Let's see what happens in a week. But with this, it was like hit me more personally because COVID, is scarier to me physically. So I have some vulnerabilities there. And we don't love being out of control, right? And so much of this is out of our control. And even the things that are in our control feel out of our control. So I think what brought all this together is there's all the stuff. I'm not even going to go into it. We all know, right? If you don't know, go hang out on Twitter for 15 minutes and you'll have the whole overview that you need. You'll have more than you need. So I'm not going to go into that. If you're listening to this 10 years from now and we're all still here, I don't know what to tell you. Find a history book. Or books. If there are any. Who knows? I don't know. So I'm in a group, The Way of the Rose. It's on Facebook. I recommend that you just get on the Facebook, put that in the search bar, hop into that group. If you have any interest in the exploration of the rosary as a spiritual tool, separate from the Catholic Church. It's not related to anything you think you know about the rosary. It's different. You could get the book too, The Way of the Rose by Clark Strand. Super excellent book. Changed my life. Haven't missed a rosary since April 15th. Okay, so there was a discussion in that group. Wait, I lost track. Sorry, slipped off on a tangent. Tripped and fell into a tangential pool. Back in the 80s, okay? Prophecies. World's going to end. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. Pack a bag of snacks and a change of underwear and be ready to go, Then there was the sad story of the people who drank the Kool-Aid, not the Jim Jones Kool-Aid people, but the other people who, oh my gosh, what was their name? They all were wearing like tracksuits and Adidas or something, and they all got in their little bunk beds and unfortunately killed themselves. Into the world type culty thing. God, I can't remember their name. It was a big deal. Then there was 1999, right? The computers are gonna click over. That was one where I was like, yeah, call me when you're done freaking out because I don't think this is a thing. So the year 2000 came, the computers and the internet and everything was supposed to blow up, and it was, it was a nothing. Nothing happened. Some stuff happened, but, no big deal. Then I have friends who've said, or friends of friends, that they see a darkness, the lights going out, etc. So then today, in that group, once a month, there's a message, or there will be going forward, a message from Mary, a Marian apparition. I don't even want to go into all that either. Go check it out for yourself, The Way of the Rose. I think it's thewayoftherose.com or something. If you go Google The Way of the Rose, Clark Strand, you'll find the website. You can read messages from the lady, Our Lady, whatever. So there was a message today, and people were like tussling with it, not arguing. This isn't like an arguing group, thank God. But like, this makes me scared. and this makes me excited for the future, and this makes me scared for my grandchildren, and this makes me not even want to be here anymore. All this stuff back and forth. The message was the part that struck me that seemed related to what I've been sitting on for the last couple of weeks is a part of the message that said 10 to 12 years hence, we will think, what were we even worried about? Who did we think we are? Where did we think this was even going to go? Some people took that as really bad news. And it just had a zing to it. You know how when you hear something and it's something you need to ponder and it has like a little electricity to it, it's just a zinger, not the yummy chocolate kind that you eat, but the kind of information that you need to pay attention to. So that had a zinger to it. And it was like, I was thinking about all that stuff from when I was 16 forward, these periodic prophecies that we see as so bad. And it's not that they're not bad for some people, but so many of them are internal death, rebirth cycles. It's just that we're all going through a death, rebirth cycle at the same time, and we all know about it because of the internet, right? I don't believe that this has never happened before, where the whole world was going through a big death, rebirth phase of some kind. It's just that we didn't have Twitter. We didn't have CNN and all our news sources, and we didn't have the Facebook and all the ways that we stay in touch with each other on a global scale. This is the first time that I know of that we've known about everybody going through this all around the entire planet. But I don't believe for a minute that this is the first time humanity's experienced this. To me, that would be crazy to think that this is the first time that humanity, the globe as a whole, has gone through something together. All the species going through something. So that section about in 10 to 12 years, how often has that zinged me, right? How often has that happened to you? You've been worried. It's 1999. It's December 31st. You're pretty sure at midnight your computer's going to explode and the internet's going to blow up, and by now you're paying half your bills online and you have no idea what's going to happen. All the missiles are going to be launched because of the stupid computer and the stupid programmers, right? We brace ourselves against these imaginations, and it leads to this stiffness in our energy and a stiffness in our bodies because of our thoughts. I'm not saying don't think those thoughts. And I'm not saying don't feel scared. I'm saying feel however you feel. Be aware of how you feel and allow it to just be there. It's not one or the other. In that whole comment discussion, I didn't add up percentages because I'm a nerd, but not that nerdy. But I would say ballpark, about half and half. People perceiving that message as negative, like, oh my God, in 10 to 12 years, things are going to be in the deepest part of the shitter, and we're not even going to know what hit us, and we're going to feel like we missed the boat, and, all the negative stuff. Versus people who are like, I think this means that we'll go through some stuff and we'll be okay. And maybe we don't need to tense up against it. Maybe we need to just roll with the flow and see what happens. Now, this moves us into the one. What I keep seeing is this continuum. The Hero Boga is where I first caught a glimmer of this. HIROBOGA.com, heroboga.com. She talked about the continuum, and it really brought is such a great example of how to think about where you're at when you're thinking. This is why I say, don't try to not be scared. Don't think that being scared is some fucked up law of attraction thing that, well, if you're scared, then the boogeyman's going to get you, and that's your punishment because you were scared and you didn't clean your thoughts up and okay? No. If you're scared, say, have fear present. You can say, I feel afraid. You can say, I'm aware of fear energy. Let me befriend it. Let me be with it. I'm aware of rage energy. I'm aware of, I'm highly aware of all the unkind people in my life. And I'm closing the doors to that. I'm aware of reciprocal, non-reciprocal on a human level, right? So the continuum. On the human level, I'm very aware of now of unkindness that I've tolerated for a long time, that I'm not tolerating it anymore. And it's not with anger. It's like, I'm closing the door to this. Lots of non-reciprocal things, relationships, people, places, things, non-reciprocality can show up anywhere. It's like, no, I'm done with that. I'm closing the door to that. So there's lots of doors closing, and there's lots of doors opening, but we're in the hallway. God, I hope this is making sense. I know I'm hopping around, and I'll probably repeat myself. Let's imagine, let me see if I can get my shit together. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. Let's imagine that you're in the hallway, a very long hallway of a beautiful hotel. On the left side are, air quote, negative doors. On the right side are, air quote, positive doors. But you're in the middle. Okay, this is the old razor's edge analogy. You're on the razor's edge, which means half a foot is in the one land and half a foot's in the other land. And Hiro Boga's continuum is we're on the human level of continuum, saying, when I interact with this person, it's always unkind energy that's coming out with me, at me. It's always that. It's only this one unkind energy. So I'm closing the door to that. Whereas from a soul, so you slide on the continuum to soul level, we're all one soul. We're all aspects of God, experiencing God, or whatever your philosophy is. From that level, it's like, I totally love these people. We're all doing the best we can do. We're all doing the best we can do. We do the things because we think we're right. We do the things because we believe it's the right thing for us and our family. If we didn't believe it was right, we wouldn't do it. And each side, of course, is saying, you're wrong, I'm right. But we can be in that hallway. That doesn't mean we don't close the door to the people we experience as damaging on the human level. Is this making sense? Like, you can answer me. Hey, is this making sense? You picking up what I'm putting down out there? So, what I teach is don't resist. Resistance truly is futile. There's the nerd, okay? Resistance is futile. To resist something, you have to push your hand. You have to reach out, touch it, push your hand against it. That means now you're attached to it. You've got your hands out and you're trying to push it back. You're mentally pushing back the fear of what we're about to go through, what we are going through, and how bad it can get. So we're pushing against, like, I don't want to think about it. Or we're thinking about it all the time and all the different ways things could be horrible. And we're pretty creative thinkers, right? There's a lot of ways we could think of things being horrible. And there's a lot of ways we could think of coming through it. It's like we pray for it to go away rather than praying, give me the strength to take care of myself. Give me the strength to take care of my family. Give me the strength. To me, this is the bottom line. Give me the strength to remember where I'm at on the continuum and to be very, very forgiving of wherever that is. So let's say I'm at the far left side. If just imagine in front of you. Remember, like, what's the thing in math called where you draw the line and you put the little stupid numbers on it? There's negative numbers on one side, positive numbers on the other side. So let's say I'm all the way on the negative side. I'm bitchy. I woke up pissed. I'm mad that I stayed on Twitter till 3 in the morning. Now I haven't had enough sleep and I'm groggy and I don't feel good. I'm pissed at the world. I'm pissed. I'm mad. I'm blaming everybody. Okay, you're in that kind of mood. So you're deep in the tunnel-visioned human experience. As soon as you catch yourself, you can go, oh, right. Well, okay, so I spent too long on Twitter again. I'm actually doing way better with the Twitter thing, just using this for an example. And now I don't feel good, and that's a fact. This happened, and that happened, and now physically I'm paying the consequences of it. We should stop it right there. That's put the period at the end of the sentence where it belongs, right after the objective fact. I stayed on Twitter till 3 in the morning, therefore I didn't get enough sleep, and I had bad dreams, and now I don't feel good. Period. We don't have to go any further than that. So you catch yourself, you state the truth. Oh, there's a lot of fear energy. Oh, there's a lot of fuck you energy. Oh, there's a lot of I wish this would go away, or I wish we were already through the bad patch, the tough patch, and that things were good again. Remember that things were not good ever for huge portions of our population. So a lot of what you hear, and I catch myself doing, I wish things would just settle down again. But that's because we're white. We can say that. If you're white, you can say, oh, I wish things would settle down again. They were never settled down for people of color. Okay, so that's not going to happen. And it shouldn't happen because we need to stay awake. So you recognize where you are, you state the objective fact, and you make a plan to do something different. Okay, I know I have a tendency to stay on Twitter too long, which leads to that whole cycle of not enough sleep and grumpiness and forgetting that there's other doors that I could open, right? I could run down the hallway and fling open all the doors that make me miserable, or I could run down the hallway and fling all the doors open and experience the oneness, the both and. The left side of the hallway, the right side of the hallway. The left side of the number thingy and the right side of the number thingy. What's that number thing called? I could have the both and. That's what I believe we're called to do. That's what those wordy posts were that were coming out of me a week or 2 weeks ago. We're not being called to be a light worker, light workers. Come on. That's just another turning away, right? It's another, I've got to pick a side, and my side is the light worker, and you're all negative fuck faces who are ruining it for the rest of us. Ugh. Okay? It's not, there's a third option. We're not being asked to gloss over the negative. We're not being asked to swing over and only focus on the positive, because if we don't, God's going to thunk us on the head and we're not going to get our law of attraction Lamborghini. And all those negative ones are the ones flushing us down the toilet. It's both. To me, that's the height of femininity. To me, that's the height of the, whatever you want to call it, the feminine rising, ending of the patriarchy, returning to the goddess, whatever name you want to slap on that. It's mama bear, right? I got a mama bear and 3 cubs hanging out in the hood here in the woods. The hood in the woods. I have I can identify 7 different bears this year. And I was like, what the hell? Where are all these bears coming from? Well, these bears have always been here, but it's been 2 full years now of quiet here in this little holler. No 4-wheelers. Occasionally, people come out and make a lot of racket, but it's not very often. So the wildlife's come back. You know, they're more visible because they feel comfortable. This is like a regular old patch of forest because there's only me and the guy next door, and we both really couldn't be more quiet in general. Occasionally he goes nuts with a leaf blower and for target shooting. But where Mama Bear is all the things, right? She shuts the door on the stuff that endangers her cubs. She'll kick your ass if you get too close to those babies. If you're not too close to the babies, she'll leave you alone. All of them will. All wild animals, unless they're sick, will leave you alone. You don't really have to freak out about it. You can't stop yourself from freaking out. That's instinct. But if you just back up or, make some noise or do whatever the Division of Wildlife tells you to do when you encounter animal X, you'll be fine. But the calling is that mothers will love their kids no matter how fucked up they are and no matter what fucked up shit they do, right? People on death row who deserve to be there, like truly, they're not wrongfully convicted, they really deserve to be there. Their mama still loves them. So it's not the left side of the hallway. You don't have to run down the hallway and slam all the doors shut and put locks on them and duct tape them all shut and make sure nobody goes near the negative doors and go on the right side of the hallway and fling all those doors open and just to look that way, turn your back to the other side of the hall. And it's not the other direction either. You don't have to be worried that there's these Pollyanna lightworker people that are fucking it up because they're not preparing, they're not facing reality, they're not whatever, like each side's pushing against the other, right? So you don't have to slam all the positive doors shut and fling open all the negatives and explore every stinking room in the hallway that for every horrible scenario that we might be facing. To me, that's that statement. In 10 to 12 years, we'll be asking ourselves, geez, what the hell were we thinking? But some people will be asking themselves that because it was better than they thought. And some people will ask themselves that because it was worse than they thought. We're always going to flip-flop. Just like today with people in that comment stream saying, oh, this is terrible. And others saying, oh, this is great. Yeah, it's going to be tough, but we're going to get through it and it's going to be better than we ever imagined. And my cynical Gen X self being invited by the goddess to consider that it might be just like a lot of other things in my life where I think it's going to be pretty terrible and it is, and I get through it. Or it wasn't terrible, like I thought. Okay, so people are always going to do that. But the evolutionary thing that I feel the calling of when I'm saying to all of you, listen. I'm guessing you're being called. If you're hearing this, you're being called to something. That doesn't mean you need to start an online business. It doesn't mean you need to leave your corporate job. I don't recommend sudden decisions like that, partially because of human design, and partially because, well, mostly for human design. There's just those things never turn out well. Sudden up jump, burn the house down decisions don't generally work out too well. Because you are where you are, there's stuff still that you can gain from it if you start asking that question. What else can I learn from this while I'm planning to beat feet out of here? What else can I gain here? So the calling is to stand in the middle of that hallway. The calling is to stand in the middle of that number thing. You see the negative, you see the positive, and you hold it both. Okay. I used to teach dialectical behavioral therapy to teenagers back in the therapist days. I wrote a protocol manual, converted all the DBT stuff to kids in recovery, and taught that. Dialectical behavioral therapy, it was developed because it was the only thing that was working by Dr. Marsha Linehan. It was the combination of Eastern philosophy and Western cognitive behavioral therapy. But it's really good for anybody. There's sections of it. There's sections called distress tolerance, learning to tolerate distress, learning to not take things personal, learning to ask for your needs, learning to stop making so many goddamn assumptions. You know, there's valuable life skills in it. Dialectical is holding the both and. The dialectic, holding the yes and the no. Holding that, so a piece of true borderline personality is demonizing, and, you know, it's the pedestal. One day you're on a pedestal and the next day you're a piece of shit. One day they see you as their best friend and savior. The next day you're an evil demon trying to kill them. Like, I'm really, really being reductionist here. And it's a very complex diagnosis. And that was one of my, I didn't want it to be my specialty, but it ended up being my specialty. So, but what I always loved about it is it was healing the split. Teaching people with that diagnosis that a person, that you can love and hate someone at the same time. That they can love and hate you at the same time. And all of that's okay. You can be scared for the future and excited for the future. Was it Fritz Perls that said, fear is excitement without the breath? That gets tossed around in NLP. I think it was Fritz Perls. There will be people who are scared of the suppositions, the prophecies, the whatever's going around. There will be people who are excited about it. If you're aware of all the camps, you're not stepping back and holding yourself separate from it all. A lot of people think that's it, and it's not. It's the opposite. Fire and ice. You're burning on one side, freezing on the other side, and you find a place in yourself to hold them both. Not resist them both, not detach from them both, to hold them both like a mama does. To hold your naughty kid and the angel kid that are in one body and love them. Not in spite of, but because that's the truth. You don't love our naughty kids. We're going to overlook the naughtiness. and love the good parts. We're going to not worry about it when they have a bad day. We're just going to remember that they'll have a good day again. No, we love them when they're horrible, when their behavior is terrible. And we love them when their behavior is angelic. So we love the angel and the demon. We love the angelic behavior and the hellish behavior, but we're with it. We're not standing above it all. We're not transcending it. We're in it. I wish I could find better words for it, because this just keeps coming back and coming. I've been talking about this for years. On my blog is an old post from 2006 about this, like being called to come take your seat at the table and join the women. And this is for men too, men exploring their female strength, learning to hold their both and. This is a huge challenge. It's way easy to go, I'm going to stand back and be a neutral observer while the world falls apart. That's easy, right? You just kind of go numb. And you tell yourself it's a higher level, that you've achieved some state where you don't have to feel it all. And a lot of people misinterpret Buddhism as being that, or existential therapy as being so negative all the time, or Stoicism. It's not it. It's the mother that holds it all. It's the impersonal love that loves like the sun shines, right? The sun shines on saint and sinner alike. And if you stand in it too long, it will burn you. Doesn't matter if you're a good person and you're thinking positive thoughts. You're still going to get your ass burned if you're sitting in the sun too long. Impersonal love, the love of nature, to me, the love of the mother, like the cosmic mother, whether you want to call her Mary or, Barbara, I don't know, whatever you want to call your own cosmic mother archetype. She's right there in the shit with you. So instead of us saying, oh my God, can we just get past this? Can it just go back to, I don't want to think about this stuff anymore. I don't want to. We have to grow up and say, oh, I'm in the middle of the hallway. I get it. And I'm not supposed to be floating 10 feet off the ground in the middle of the hallway. I'm supposed to be in the middle of the hallway in the mess and the glory. In the dark, dark, dark. I don't even like using the word evil, but it's the best thing I can think of. Aware of and present with the pain that causes people to do evil things. People who are happy and healthy don't do evil things. They just don't. It's pain that drives that kind of hate and anger. It's pain. So we pray for the people who are suffering like that they're trying to burn down the world because they think that white is right. Speaking, that's foremost on my mind because I live in Georgia, and they had to shut down Stone Mountain Park yesterday because of the threats of white supremacists and all the shit, the stuff that we can't look away from. So that's the challenge, right? It's easy to step back and go, I'm going to put my buggy in neutral. I'm going to stay out here in the woods and watch y'all fuckers duke it out, and then whatever's left. If there's a Target left, I will go shopping at some point. Right? That's easy. But that's not what the calling is. That's not what mama bears do. If you didn't see my Facebook post, I had a bear almost come in the house. walked, I walked right, it was right there. Bears. A bear stole my trash can off one of the adolescent bears stole my damn trash can off the porch. Thursday night? That's like every day this week. I looked down and he's running down the driveway with it. And I was like, hey. And he stopped and looked at me and ran off. And I drove my car out to the end of the driveway to get it and just reached out and grabbed it and ran home. But it has a cool kind of tooth mark in it. But anyway, that's the invitation, is to stop turning away. Stop trying to be on end of that continuum or the other, and recognize it's a constant up, down, up, down. You're looking at the world through your human eyes, through the territory eyes, through the eyes that will cut a bitch to get what they need for their family and feel good about it. All the way to the other side that understands that this is a blip. This is not even like a blink in the span of the oneness, right? It's all happening all at the same time. It's not linear. It's not life after life after life. It's lives happening all at the same time. My opinion. Think what you want. You can't say, I'm gonna stand on this razor's edge forever. I'm gonna be so enlightened that I am gonna stand right here in the middle. That's not how it works. So it's not that you need to pick a point on the continuum and stay there. You need to know where you're at. You need to know which pair of glasses you've got on your face that's coloring how you see the world. If you know where you are, then you know what needs to happen next. Well, let me say that differently. If you know where you are, then you have the wherewithal to ask, what the hell is supposed to happen next? Could I get some guidance here? How can I see this differently? What am I missing? What am I overlooking? What's the gift I can get here? Let's throw in some access consciousness questions. I saw someone on Instagram list a whole bunch of straight, like word for word, access consciousness questions. And I just always feel like you need to say, if you're doing it, I'm just a little worried. I mean, access consciousness, they could maybe sue your ass. I don't know. Anyway, just give me credit where credit's due. What am I not seeing that if I saw it would make all the difference? What am I avoiding that if I accepted it would make all the difference? What am I resisting that if I received it would change everything? Okay? I feel like that's the return, but in the present, right? We can't go back to goddess days. We're never going to know the truth about that. That's a little soapbox I can get off on. What we're being asked to do is to bring that forward. To ask, okay, we have some pieces in our bucket about what femininity means, what cosmic mother means, what holding it all means, what sliding up and down this continuum and being aware of where you're at means. We have some pieces of that from the past, but we are missing enormous amounts of material because women's stories were erased. Okay, so we don't know. We think we know and we have some pieces. So what the invitation is that I'm seeing is stepping into that oneness and asking which of those pieces is ready to be transformed and formed with what we have now and become birthed into something new. Does that make sense? Not trying to find safety and security in the past way that of the goddess religions and things of that sort, but saying, hey, we used to be a bit more nature focused. We used to be a little more respectful. We used to be a little more reverent of life. What of that can we bring to our now with our technology? I don't believe technology is going away. I know a lot of people are saying it is. I just don't believe it. I don't buy it. I could be wrong. I guess we'll know. I guess if you never hear from me again after the next couple of years that we lost technology. I just don't see it going away. But the choice we have to make is to face that pain, to face the thing, to face our shadow, right? That was my first course. If you're new to my work, Shadow Blessings, it's out there. If you want to know more about it, let me know. It's still there. Little Facebook group with all the materials in it. First course I did, and I brought it out in 2015? 2015? 2016? I forget. Because that was back when I was seeing these visions of women holding hand to hand, foot to foot, like star-shaped, all around the world like a living net, holding the planet like you hold a woman going through birthing, the transition phase where she's like trying to claw her way out of the birthing experience, but there's no turning back. You're stuck, which I don't have the physical experience of because I pushed for 4 hours and ended up with a C-section, so I kind of did get to take a shortcut. But I did think I was dying, so I think I got a little of that experience. I didn't have painkillers past the first few hours. But it's like that. We have that choice. Turn around and stop running from the pain, trying to transcend the pain. Stop asking to be delivered from the pain and ask to be supported through the journey. Change me. We'll throw a Tosha Silver change me prayer. Change me into a woman who can face the both and. Change me into a person who can acknowledge and be present with the pain that causes evil actions and pray for those people that are being driven by pain. Let me pray for the people who are trying so hard to avoid being triggered into pain that they're stepping back away from it all and trying to hold themselves separate. Let us all be changed into the kind of people who can embrace all of it. To be in the middle of the hallway with all the doors open on both sides of the hallway and be centered and strong in that, knowing that sometimes we're going to be off on one of the left side of the rooms, sometimes we're going to be off on the right side rooms, but we remember where we are so that we can make conscious choices. It's consciousness. Know where you're at so you can ask, what's trying to happen here? What is the next teeny step? What do I need to listen to? Let me sit in silence for 30 minutes and just sit. Not think about my marketing plan, but feel the sun on my face. Notice the bugs. Notice the flowers that are blooming that draw this particular blue butterfly every time, this time of the year, every year. Let me think about that. all of it, into it. That to me is the rise of the feminine. When we're fully with it, holding all of it, we're unstoppable. Because we're not trying to create, we are creating by our very existence. That's what wait to respond means in human design. That's what wait for the invitation means. That's what wait 28 days means for you reflectors. You're so charged energetically and so powerful and so present that what's right for you is delivered to you on a silver platter. And then you get to decide if you want to take it or not, because even still the timing might be off, right? Let's just say you're trying to raise $500. And our old way is to go out and hustle and, do whatever it takes to make that money. The opposite of that is to recognize the part of you that's scared that she's not going to make the money. Recognize the part of you that already knows money ain't no thing, and you can make money any day of the week. And you've done it before and you'll do it again. And recognize that you have all of that in you and love it all. Impersonal love, nature love, doesn't say you have to be a certain way and then I'll love you. You have to only think positive and then I'll love you. You have to never to feel negative and then I'll love you. It loves you. It's impersonal. It's the sunlight. It loves you no matter what you are, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. It loves. To me, that's God, that force, that impersonal love. It's not romantic. If you're an idiot in the ocean, you're going to drown. If you don't know, did I just say drowned? Good Lord. You done drowned it because you were a dumbass in the ocean. You're going to drown, right? If you don't follow the laws of nature, wear a life jacket or learn to swim. Oh my God, I've been talking almost an hour. Okay, let me knock it off. I expect that more will come, but think about this for yourself. How do you feel about your own pain? Do you try and avoid it? Or do you let yourself really open the doors of your heart to it and say, wow, I feel like the meanest bitch on the planet right now. I've got massive fuck you energy right now. I'm exhausted, or I am giddy and I'm excited about all the things falling apart. But I'm afraid to tell people, whatever it is for you, whatever all the pieces are of you, contemplate that. Contemplate being in the hallway with all the doors open, not floating above it all, not stepping back and hiding from the pain, taking the time to understand what causes a person to always be attacking everybody and everything around them. And then also, you don't put up with that. And you reach a certain point and you're done with it. You close the door on the human experience while you love them on the soul experience, and you're doing it both at the same time. You create by your presence. The more present and grounded you are in your body, the more mama bear you are. Got her babies out in the rain, in the heat, all the stuff. She's doing her thing. They need to keep up. Fiercely protective of your parts on the human level. Both and all of it, feeling all of it. Where are you at with that? Will you not let yourself be happy? Because feeling happy right now feels like bad. Like you shouldn't be happy right now because so many things are on fire. That's not okay either. Okay? Do what you can, even just asking the questions. Where am I turning away from pain? Where am I trying to hold myself separate? Where am I resisting the fullness down deep in your hip bones? Aware of your feet and what they're touching right now, and aware of the top of your head and aware of your fingertips. Play with all of this and just see what happens. You got nothing to lose. If nothing else, it's entertaining to think about. And then there was one. To me, that's what I'm hearing. And then there was one. There was this side, that side, and then there was one, which included all of it. All right. I'm going to shut up. And until we talk again, if you want to get started on your human design, thatmichellewolf.com/human design. Think less, feel more, and I'll talk to you next time.